More than happy to have you aboard today. The Bill Michaels Show is on the air. We got a good one today. As you know, there is some discussions that it could possibly be J.J. Watt to the Green Bay Packers. We're going to talk about that coming up in a little bit. Eric Branchek of the Green Bay Press-Gazette is going to be here. We're going to talk some Badger basketball today. Ben Wergel is going to join us as well from the Badger Blitz. Andrew Wagner is going to be here coming up later on this afternoon as well. We're going to talk some Milwaukee Brewers. As the Brewers make a deal, they pick up Derek Fisher, 27-year-old outfielder, has batted about 270 to 280 in the minors, has not busted the 200 mark in the majors, but he gives them some depth in the outfield. And so we'll get into that. There's some discussions about athletes leaving college a little bit early when it comes to playing hoops and heading to the NBA. And what does this mean for the NBA? And I'll tell you what it means coming up a little bit later on. We got some sad news coming out of Cleveland, and we'll discuss that as well as a fan finally realizes his dream, only to ultimately succumb to cancer. But it was just a really touching story. I was reading about it a little bit earlier today, so we're going to get into that discussion as well. But thanks for joining us and following us not only here on the radio, but we are live on Twitch. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. You can subscribe to all of those platforms and touch base with us there. Chris, good morning to you. Chris watching us in Las Vegas, and thanks a lot. The home studio continues to get a little bit bigger and a little more technical. Tomorrow, the rest of the equipment arrives, and it's going to be like this kind of a command center. I actually need a bigger desk. I need to find like an Amish builder to build me a studio desk, because I don't think the desk is going to be big enough by the time it's all said and done. And if you're watching, you can see what I'm talking about, because there's the setup for the radio station, both internet-wise and over the air, and then there's the setup over here, which is off to my right, which is more for the live stream, the video version of it, and all that kind of stuff. But we are live here in the home studio today, kind of hanging out. So the talk is that there are teams that are interested in J.J. Watt. We knew that going in, right? But in the beginning, it was Pittsburgh, it was Cleveland, it was Buffalo, it was Tennessee. Those were the ones that were making the more public push, if you will, for J.J. Watt. I guess now, for lack of a better term, now there is the admission that the Green Bay Packers are in the mix. And I guess the question becomes twofold. One is, do you believe that J.J. Watt can be an asset to this team? There are some that believe that J.J. Watt's better days are behind him. I mean, Pete Doherty wrote a heck of a column about just that, basically stating that, you know, hey, his better day. Now, he believes, by the way, let me say this, let me predicate this by saying he believes that J.J. Watt, the Packers should go after him. But he did say he's on the wrong side of 30. His body has been riddled with injury. So it is not a slam dunk to say that he's going to come in and he's going to contribute right away. Okay, and 100% I agree. But there is something as the added bonus to go after him, and they should make a run at signing J.J. Watt. He said Watt is a fast-aging player on the wrong side of 30 whose injury history the past 5 years surely sends a shudder down the spine of any NFL general manager considering investing in him. Watt is also one of the most dominant defensive players of his era and a locker room leader who just might have enough gas in the tank to help a Super Bowl contender looking to upgrade their front seven in 2021. And those are the opposing forces Brian Gutekunst has to weigh as to the Green Bay Packers as he determines whether or not to make a play. And if so, how far to go financially for a Wisconsin icon who announced that he's parting ways with Houston Texans. So that statement is very telling. That statement is very honest. He's missed a full 32 games the past 5 years because of injuries. He's coming off of a 5-sack season. In a 16-game 2020, we went over all of that. He had a $17.5 million salary that he was owed. Chances are he's never going to come close to that, just for the fact, well, unless he goes to a place like Jacksonville, who just completely overpays to get him there. But I don't think that's what he wants. So out of the teams that are making a play, with Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Buffalo, Tennessee, you can throw the Packers in the mix. Are the Packers the most Super Bowl ready contender that is legitimately out there? That's the question you have to ask. So, as much as I want to say that I think Pittsburgh, look, Ben Roethlisberger down the stretch did not perform well. They've lost Pouncey. There's a big consternation there on behalf of Ben Roethlisberger as to the importance of losing their center. Obviously, they were a team that fell short. So that's first and foremost. Is Cleveland on the rise? Cleveland defensively a pretty solid team. Baker Mayfield had a breakout season this past year, not only because of his football play, but obviously because of the inordinate amount of Progressive insurance commercials. Then there's Buffalo. Buffalo is in the mix. Buffalo is right there. Now, there's talk about whether or not Deshaun Watson could possibly be traded to Miami. I don't think it happens by any stretch of the imagination, but if he should end up going to Miami in the AFC could legitimately become a type of contender. But still, I think in the AFC, you're looking at Tampa Bay, you're looking at the Packers, you're probably looking at Seattle, a team from the West again, whether it's going to be Seattle. You got to really take a look at the Rams and say, okay, are the Rams legitimately interested in him? Because the Rams have invested in Matthew Stafford. They believe they're only a quarterback away. They've got the defense to support him. So are they a team that is on the rise and ready to go? So there's a lot of different things to think about, but there's only about 7 to 8 teams that have a legitimate shot, in my opinion, at getting to a Super Bowl in the upcoming season. So I'm just kind of waiting to see what teams are going to make the moves, what teams are going to be able to shed some of that salary, restructure some of the salary cap. We're still waiting to find out what the play is for the actual salary cap in the NFL. We don't know for a couple of reasons. One, they're waiting on the final numbers. All the teams are waiting on the final numbers, but don't forget the NFL is also at this point in negotiations with television networks for the Thursday night contest, which has become a nightmare. Players don't want to play in it. Fox doesn't want to broadcast it because they give it to the NFL Network. They give it to, I think it's Amazon or Hulu or something like that as well. And Fox is basically saying, hey, we're freighting the bill. We're paying for all the production. You're using our guys, but you're giving it to everybody else. So we don't want to pay all that money for that product. We don't want to have that exposure for everybody else. We want all the rights to it. So the NFL has a quandary on its hands. Maybe they could just strictly go to, I believe it's either Hulu or Amazon Prime. Just go to them and say, hey, you do it. But Hulu and Amazon Prime, they're not in the production business. They're in the televising business. So they don't put it together with their own announcers and their own graphics and their own capability when it comes to the broadcast of the game. All they want to do is get the on-air feed and take it, steal it, basically. So they're waiting to find out what's going to happen there before they can set a final balance when it comes to when it actually comes to the salary cap for the NFL. So anyway, glad to see everybody up and online today. So many people that are saying hello. Sweet setup, says Brian. JJ, the Packers would be like the minister coming, would give Wisconsin warm and fuzzies. Not sure if God is telling JJ to come, though. That's a good point. That's a good point from John watching us over on the Facebook stream. That's a good point. Because remember, you had Reggie saying it was God that told him that. I don't know if it's going to be Brian Gutekunst, his family, his other brothers. I mean, TJ and Derek wanted to go to Pittsburgh. TJ posted right away, basically, come on over. Here we go. Come on into Pittsburgh. But we'll wait and see if he has that desire. I don't think Pittsburgh is really far away. I just don't think they're the favorite to win the AFC. I think the NFC has a lot of competition, but it's more wide open. I think the AFC is still Kansas City and everybody else. I think you've got teams on the come and an aging quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger. And like I said, down the stretch, Josh Allen played well. Patrick Mahomes played well. You look at some of those AF teams that were on the rise. I mean, you get a good quarterback in Indianapolis. Indianapolis could be a team that's on the rise as well. They've got a very solid defense. They could be on the come. So there can be more than a few teams vying for that. And I think Pittsburgh, even in their own division, Baltimore just needs to kind of regroup and put it all together. They're a team that is talking about going after J.J. Watt as well. So if they can bolster that defense and kind of reshape Lamar Jackson from this running quarterback that he was during his MVP season to the inaccurate passer that he was last year, when defenses changed up on him. Now he's got to kind of reinvent himself all over again. If he can do that, they're a team that's right back there. They're a team that's right back in the hunt. But if they can't, we'll wait and see. But I think the AFC has probably 2 or 3 legitimate contenders, and everybody else is just kind of vying for third place. Whereas the NFC, legitimately, you've got Brady and company down in Tampa Bay. You've got the Green Bay Packers. You've got the LA Rams. You've got teams that are legitimate in the NFC. I think Seattle, with a little bit of a retool, they have a quality quarterback. I think you look at a team. I know somebody just said, "What about Minnesota?" Minnesota's not in a hunt. They're not a Super Bowl contender. You're not looking at them as any kind of a contender. I think New Orleans is so far over the cap, you have to take them now out of the mix. You know, a surprise team could be Atlanta. They still have a quality quarterback in Matt Ryan. They've got an aging team. They need to young it up, but that could be a team that could rebuild itself relatively quick. I still think Philadelphia, even though they've got new blood with a new head coach, I don't think they're that far away, but I think their quarterback situation is tenuous. So I think there's numerous teams in the NFC. It's kind of wide open. It's still top heavy, but it's still kind of wide open. And some other teams have to prove themselves. So that being said, I think that there are some legitimate contenders, but I think there's maybe a total of 5 to 6 that J.J. Watt's truly going to consider. So coming up at the bottom of the hour, Eric Branchek of the Green Bay Press-Gazette is going to be here. We're going to talk with him. Ben Warble, Badger Blitz, he's going to be here. He's going to join us coming up in the next hour, about an hour and 10 minutes from right now. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk with him about the Badgers and the basketball season and where they're at. Also, Andrew Wagner from Forbes and also from the Madison, Wisconsin State Journal. He's going to be here talking some Brewers. Still waiting to find out about going down to spring training. I mean, he's not quite sure what's going on down there, as many others are as well, when it comes to spring training in the Milwaukee Brewers, because you just don't know what is or is not going to be allowed and what they're going to do for press situations and such. So we'll talk with him. Also, the Brewers, like I said, making a deal. Derek Fisher, the outfielder, giving them a little bit of depth defensively in the outfield coming on. Remember, David Stearns, when he was with Houston, actually was part of the draft process for Derek Fisher, who just didn't catch on in Houston. I think it was it Toronto? Toronto was, I think, another place that he ended up going. But nevertheless, he's never really locked in, but they picked him up as a depth piece for the Brewers baseball later in the process as well. Got a lot to get to, a lot of people chiming in. By the way, if you are listening to us or watching us, thanks so much. We've got John listening to us in Eau Claire. Got Justin listening to us out in Vegas. Mac is listening to us in Oostburg. A lot of snow in Oostburg, by the way. Packers, Zedarius and Clark adding Watt would be great to the package. That is from Chris watching the program today. If you want to find us, you can find me on Twitch under Bill Michaels. Over on YouTube, the same. Facebook fan page, The Bill Michaels Show. Plenty of ways to do it. A lot broadcasting out of the live from the Bud Light home studio. The Bud Light home studio today. So there you have it. Let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. More of the Bill Michaels Show is coming up next. Check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2. Edgar. Welcome back. Glad to have you. I know for those of you watching over on Twitch and on Facebook and on YouTube, all those different platforms, you can't hear everything. And more equipment's going to come in tomorrow. We wanted to get this up and running today, but more equipment's going to come in tomorrow, and we're going to put it all together. And for those that are watching, you kind of see the setup, and things will get a little more streamlined as we get going. But wanted to let you know that I promised that we would get it up and running, and regardless of if we were completely ready yet, I wanted to get it up and running. So welcome back to the program. Glad to have you. Ron says, morning from Edgar, Wisconsin. Great to see you. Ron, you're the man. This is from Michael saying, listening to us in Chippewa Falls, town of Lafayette. First time listening on Facebook. And this one's from Mark, who says, sound is okay, not great. Will it be better tomorrow? Yes, it'll be better tomorrow. We'll have better graphics tomorrow. You should be able to hear the music and everything interacting on the actual show tomorrow, because right now we're just doing the sound within the studio here at home. This one's from Scott, who says the backlighting is a lot. You know why? Because all I have is these giant shades in the office, in the studio here, and you can't see out of them unless the camera's right up on them. So you can't see. Excuse me, because of all the snow and all the white balance is so bad, and these are not professional cameras, they're just Logitech webcams. So, excuse me, they're so non-professional, I guess is the best way to put it. You don't have the ability to balance between what's in front of you and the backlight behind you. So we got to find something. You're right, I'll find some curtains or something. And Thomas wants to know, what are the pictures behind you? Well, the one on my desk is me and Brett Favre. The other one is a piece that Andy North gave me. It is his Sports Illustrated cover when he won the U.S. Open, and he autographed that for me a while back. So I love Andy North. I think he's a great guy. And then the other piece is a plaque that was given to me by Fisher House for some of the work that I have done with Fisher House and veterans. So very proud of all of those. There you have it. Coming up here just after the bottom of the hour, Eric Branchek, the Green Bay Press Gazette, going to be joining us. We're going to talk some about this J.J. Watt thing. And look, originally it was Pittsburgh, it was Buffalo, it was Tennessee, it was Cleveland. These were the teams that were right away saying, hey, we wanted to be a part of the J.J. Watt sweepstakes. And now you get wind that there's about a total of 10 to 12 teams, and the Green Bay Packers, yes, are one of them. So the question then becomes for Brian Gutekunst, do you believe that, J.J. Watt is a viable candidate, one? Do you believe the Packers could have? I guess the next question is this, and I think this is probably the more legitimate question because people are getting excited by hearing the term Green Bay Packers and J.J. Watt in the same breath, and rightfully so. But let's just say the Packers just say we just don't have the money. You know, we're kind of over the cap. We got a lot of space. We have to figure out. We just don't have the money to go get them. So the question is, would you be dynamically disappointed? Would you be really disappointed if they don't get them? That's the question. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Hit me up over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels. At Bill_Michaels. You can follow on the live stream as well if you want to do that, because I can see everything that comes across in the live stream, and I can post that there as well. You can also find me just simply the email, TheBillMichaels, THE, Bill Michaels. 3 words, put them all together at gmail.com. Facebook, you can go there. You can email. You can also watch the show, The Bill Michaels Show. You can find me, Bill Michaels, on YouTube, Bill Michaels on Twitch. And I only have, I think, like 15 subscribers on Twitch. So the more we get, the better off we are. I appreciate it if you follow me on YouTube. I really do. Thanks as always. Al says, listening from Indiana. My son said he pulled you over years ago when you were on 74 going past Shelbyville, Indiana. Al, you're 100% correct. You are 100% correct. How about that? He was a state trooper, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he was a sheriff. I think he was a state trooper. And you are 100% correct. I was doing, I think at the time, I don't know if it was 70 miles an hour back then, or if it was still 65. But I was probably doing about 15 over. I think I was towing the boat. I was heading down to Brookville, Indiana, and I was racing a storm that was coming in. And I do remember that. I apologized to him. Once you get going with a boat behind you, big heavy boat behind you, you kind of get going. So, yeah. Thank you, Bo. Yeah. I do remember that. He was very kind, very good guy, very kind. But he didn't give me a warning. He did give me a ticket, of which I paid. I believe I paid. I hope I paid. So, Al, thanks for bringing up my criminal record. I appreciate that. Let's see here. This one is from Randy. Says, no way. I don't think they get J.J. Watt. I would love to see it, but I think he's going to cost them too much money. Chris said, I'd like to see the Packers go all in. And even if they mean going over the cap. See, you can't do that, Chris, in the NFL. You can't just say, it's not like the luxury tax in the NBA and the revenue share cap in Major League Baseball. In the NFL, it's a hard cap. You cannot go over it. So there is no going over it. You have to figure out ways to fit under it. The Packers traditionally are not a team that likes to extend contracts, renegotiate contracts, put them off for years to come. So it's going to be interesting to see what Brian Gutekunst does this year. Now, if you believe that the cap is going to go up, as many believe, exponentially over the next couple of years after this upcoming season, well, then, maybe you do go ahead and say, okay, we're gonna go all in. But I've said this before. You have a year to 4 years, legitimately a year to 4 years with Aaron Rodgers. Okay, if you're going to start the Jordan Love clock, then so be it. Then you have 1 year, you go all in. If you believe Jordan Love is going to be the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers in 2 years, you go all in this year. And if you don't, you're dumb. Simple as that. If you don't, you have short. If you don't, as a fan, I don't even go to games this year. I'm like, you know what? You're not going all in. Why should I go all in with my dollar? If you're not going to do it, if you're not in it to win it, but you're projecting that we're going to be the Jordan Love team in a couple of years, I am sorry. No jerseys, no additional money spent, nothing. Nada. Not going to do it. No reason to. You're asking me to spend my hard-earned money, but you're not spending yours. Ain't happening. But if you're going to go all in, I'm all in. I'm buying into every damn thing you're selling. I'm buying the J.J. Watt jersey, the J.J. Watt replica helmet that's going to sit on the desk. If you've got if you've got a handle on a jock and a cup, and you're going to use it as your J.J. Watt jock mug, I'm in on that too. Doesn't matter. I'm in. If you're going to go all in, you're going to do that. I'll be in on that. Even if they don't get J.J. Watt, though, I want to see the Packers go all in. I just do. I completely agree with many of you. Carmelo says Jones is history. He turned down top 5 money. He's going to be out, so might as well go ahead and spend the money on a guy like J.J. Watt. If I don't think you can't just say spend that money because you're already over the cap. If you don't bring back Aaron Jones, it's just money that you're somewhat saving, but you're not saving the $17 million or $15 million or $12 million that you would have paid him. You're saving whatever it is he gives you cap relief of. What you need to do, and we went through this last week, you need to restructure. You need to restructure Aaron Rodgers. You need to restructure Zadarius Smith. You need to restructure probably David Bakhtiari. You're cutting loose Kirksey. You're cutting loose Funchess. You're cutting loose Preston Smith. There's a few more guys there, maybe Lowry. And you're going to get yourself, by the time you restructure and you put everything under the cap, you can maybe garner yourself about $20 million. It's not a lot. With a lot of free agents coming up and you got to re-sign some of your own. It's not a lot. So you got to do your due diligence when it comes to, and you may restructure more. Devontae Adams. I mean, that's another guy. He's coming up on the final year of his deal. You want to get him signed to get him in now, maybe put off some of that money. Give yourself some of that cap relief. That's another guy you want to look at too. So you got some money you're going to need to spend, and you're also going to have to restructure some of this and be very, very smart. I mean, we talked about this again last week. This is nothing new. This is Russ Ball and Brian Gutekunst are sitting down right now going, okay, what can we do to create the most cap relief for this team so we can then re-sign our own and in addition go out and fill a couple of holes. Brian Gutekunst, he not only has to worry about that, then he's got to immerse himself in the draft and say, okay, what guys do we feel in the first 3 rounds can come in and help us immediately? And then when you think about it, if there's a guy that that you really covet, do you go all in for that guy? Do you go all in for a draft choice to say we are pushing all of these chips to the middle of the table right here, right now? So it pains me to think going into the second year, Patrick Queen, Packer Roman. Coming up here after the bottom of the hour, Eric Branchek of the Green Bay Press Gazette is going to be here with us. We got a lot coming up. You can follow us and like us over on Facebook. Like me over on Facebook. You can follow and subscribe and such over on YouTube under simply The Bill Michaels. Email me, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. That's thebillmichaels@gmail.com. And I've got to say thanks to our good friends all over, because we got good people that work with us and help us out. Our friends over at Quick Trip as well, which we're going to come back as a big sponsor. They're going to have some March Madness stuff coming up. So thanks to them also. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Going to talk some more Packers. Eric Branchek of the Green Bay Press Gazette going to be joining us next on the Bill Michaels Show. All right, we want to run through these. Joe, glad to see the Quick Trip's going to be in Michigan. That's awesome. Jose, you can find the stream of the show. Go to Mad City Sports Zone, which is the website, WOZN out in Madison. They carry the program. Cinderman, what's up? They signed Bakhtiari, by the way, Joe, to an extension. They can still restructure it. I believe King is gone as well, Carmelo. Hey, Chris, OBS, I want to use it because it actually works with Restream. The problem is that OBS is a little more advanced than what Restream is, and I'm kind of a technological idiot. So as soon as I have time to sit down and go over it, I'll use it, but I have not had a chance to use it yet. Steve, how are we looking? And we'll have more audio and such coming up tomorrow on the program, just an FYI. We got to put this cool music up on the stream. I don't have another camera, by the way, to show you the dogs, but the dogs are all right out here in front of me. And James, these are Hudipole cans, and if you notice, they're from when the Reds won the World Series. Welcome back. Glad to have you. Hopefully you're enjoying your day today. I enjoy the breaks. The breaks are kind of cool because the people that are watching on the stream, we get a chance to interact, which is kind of cool. So normally, although I will say this, when I have to go to the bathroom, I'm going. I might even put a picture up of just like a bathroom, just to say I'll be back in a minute. However, it is kind of cool because, yes, on the front of the desk, somebody was asking, are those beer cans? Yes, they are. I've got beer cans from the 1975 and 1976 World Series, in which the Cincinnati Reds beat the Boston Red Sox and then beat they went back-to-back World Series and then ended up beating the New York Yankees. And so some people are asking what they were. Those are actual cans, and they were commemorative cans. And a woman in La Crosse, found them, sent them to me, and I love her to death for it because it's a part of my kid growing up type of stuff. So there you have it. Talking a lot of Packers and a lot about J.J. Watt, and we now go to our good old buddy Eric Branchek of the Green Bay Press-Gazette joining us. EB, how you been, pal? No, you're good, man. I wanted to get your thoughts on all of this. The word breaks that JJ is now a free agent, and we know the green and gold world went absolutely bananas over this. So does it make sense for the Packers to pursue JJ Watt? How big of a fight has there been in the newsroom? Because Pete Doherty said the Packers should make a run at signing J.J. Watt. Now, if you do read his entire piece, he also says there is a large amount of caution and consternation about that, for the fact that he could suffer a season-ending injury, and then all that money and that hope goes right out the window, because that has certainly been his recent history, and how many games, 32 games that he's missed in the last 5 seasons. So there's a lot of angst there when it comes to signing Watt. But has there been a lot of discussion between you guys? I mean, as to making, because you make a legitimate point. I mean, I completely agree. I think with David Bakhtiari not coming back probably till the end of September, maybe October, you got to make sure you got a very stout offensive line. I agree with that premise. Right. Right. Yeah, I would agree. He's not going to be a $2 and $3 million guy. He's not going to play for the veterans minimum. Some seem to think that he's going to give this massive hometown discount to the Packers. I mean, if it's anything over, say, $7 million, you're pretty much out of the mix to begin with, because you just don't have that kind of money. I mean, I was saying when we talk about the salary cap. By the way, we're talking with Eric Baranchek at the Green Bay Press Gazette. You're probably going to restructure Aaron Rodgers, which means you're probably going to, at some point or another, be trading Jordan Love, if Jordan Love has any aspiration at all to be playing in the National Football League. You can restructure Bakhtiari, because you signed Bakhtiari to an extension, but you can restructure that. You can restructure Zadarius Smith. He's still young enough and quality enough that you can probably get by with that. You probably are going to re-sign Devontae Adams to a contract extension, and maybe defer some of that money, give yourself some cap space that way. Do you agree with that? Let me ask you this first and foremost. Since you and I last talked, they fired Mike Pettin, they've hired Joe Barry. Give me your thoughts on the defensive coordinator hire. And I said all along, I know people wanted Jim Leonard, but just from the people that I've talked to over the years that know Jim Leonard, he's just so happy being the Badger coordinator. And let's be honest, I mean, he's next in line to probably be the head coach of the Badgers should Paul Chryst ever want to step aside and say, I'm going to ride off into the sunset. So I think he doesn't want to go in that direction of the pros. It's great to be asked, and obviously from this area and being so, close to the Packers organization, it would be an honor, but I didn't think he would leave. Were you surprised that he didn't take the job? Mm-hmm. Good stuff to talk to you, my friend. I appreciate it as always, and we will definitely have you back on the program real soon, okay? Those are empty cans that still look full. They still have the tabs in them. So, yeah, no, the bottom of them, I'm showing the bottom of them have been punctured over. But these are like the old cans. I'm not talking like old aluminum. These are the old metal heavy cans from years and years and years ago. So there you go. They had the old pull tabs on them. Right, right. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Good stuff. All right, EB, we'll talk to you soon. And anytime anything breaks, we'll come to you, Val, okay? Talk to you. There you go. Eric Baranchek joining us for a couple of minutes on the Bill Michaels Show and some good stuff. And look, I know there's people over on the feed, on the stream, watching the program. I know right now you're not hearing it. Tomorrow we're going to have some different equipment in here. You're going to be able to hear it, but we're up and running today. So we know about it. So people are saying, Bill, understand. I know about it. I know about it. Just it'll be better tomorrow. I promise you. Every day is a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further advanced. And every day it gets a little bit better. Trust me. Tomorrow will be that day. And then the day after will be even better. And the day after that and the day after that. It's all good. It's all good. Glad to have him on the program. Hey, let's do this. We'll step away, take a quick break, come back. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next. Hi, Jason, Mr. Rona Spreader. Knock it off. Go do you. When it comes to the super spreader events, you be you. And let those who want to be. You know what I'm saying? I don't tell anybody what they have to do, nor should you. Okay? So let's just leave it at that. Packer Buckaroo, you're the man. Glad to have you. Doug, yes. It'll be better tomorrow, I promise. Hey, Phil from La Crosse, how you doing? What else do we have here? We got a lot more. Clint, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Boy, a lot of people watching on Periscope too, over on Twitter. That's awesome. That's awesome. There we go. The home studio, as you know, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. Bud Light, a long time sponsor. Also, Bud Light Seltzer. Go to budlight.com for all that they have to offer. Welcome back to the program. We are glad you are with us. Thanks for hanging out with us over on the streams as well. If you are following, you can follow me over on Facebook at facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. You can follow me on Twitter. And for those that follow on Twitter, there is a link that comes over on Twitter. You can follow us and watch the program on Periscope. You can do that, and you can also track us down on YouTube and Twitch. Both of those, please subscribe. I thank you so much for the follow, and thank you so much for the subscription. Just simply Bill Michaels on Twitch if you want to download the Twitch app, or on Facebook, or excuse me, on YouTube. You can go there as well and watch the program, as many of you are doing, whether it's in your home office or in your office or what have you. So good to have you, and thanks for all the kind words. Got a lot coming up here in the next hour. We're going to talk with Ben Wergel, some Badger basketball, and just what's going on with the Badgers, and just see if my assessment matches what he's thinking, because he sees it up close and personal. And what I'm watching right now is just a team that when they're shooting well, they're shooting well. They're good. They're solid. But when they're not, man, they struggle. And they're still a team that hustles. They're still a team that moves the basketball. But they have struggled mightily at times, and we'll get into that discussion coming up here in just a little bit as well. Sorry for the camera movement as my dog Elmo is kicking it just down below. So, good stuff there. And we got a lot more coming up. This one was interesting. It was one of those stories today that kind of, and I just have a couple of minutes, so I wanted to get this on, but I don't know if you saw this, but there was a Cleveland fan who had he had cancer, and he ended up kind of, realizing his dream, and that was to watch the Cleveland Browns get themselves back to the postseason. And he did that. And when he finally did, it was just something that he had been wanting to do, wanting to see that team get back to. Now, granted, he wanted to see them win a championship, obviously, but he ended up getting a chance to see his team back in the postseason, and then ultimately succumb. He was 39 years old. He had, I believe it was liver cancer, but it was just an interesting story. If you go over to ESPN, the four-letter network had it, and just a really kind of a touching story as they ended up, getting to the postseason. This is just all this guy ever wanted, and you talk about teams that are deserving. We like Brewers fans never. Now, if you're a Milwaukee Braves fan, yes, you've seen a World Series. But as a Brewers fan, you've never seen a World Series. You've been to one, but you've never seen a championship come home. And this kid has grown up, and not only did he have a team, that he lost a team, that he's got a team back, and now he just wanted to see them get back to the postseason, and they did. And then the unfortunate story is that he passed away yesterday. So a lot of tributes coming out from the Cleveland community, and specifically the Browns, for his unwavering support of that franchise and seeing them through the doldrums. But just a really cool story, and I thought it was kind of poignant today. Hey, speaking, I don't want to be all death, doom, and gloom, but former NFL wide receiver Vincent Jackson found dead on Monday in a Florida hotel room. Don't know why he had passed away. He was in a Homewood Suites in Brandon, Florida. No apparent signs of trauma. He's 38 years old. Was found on Monday morning. Checked in on Sunday. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office said they opened an investigation. According to the hotel staff, he is a South Tampa resident and checked into the hotel room and had been staying in the room. And for a while now, he didn't check in over the weekend. They checked in on him over the weekend, and he was okay. But he checked in on January 11th. And his family had reported him missing a while back, and they just found him. So sad day. Vincent Jackson played 12 seasons in the NFL, and the last 5 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had been found deceased. So hate to end the hour on that note, but certainly some poignant information, or at least stories to discuss. When we come back, we'll get back into some things coming up at the top of the hour. Some Badger basketball coming up here in about 25 minutes. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up after this. How you doing, Elmo? Good day and welcome back to the Bill Michaels Show. We are on the air. So glad you're on board. Thanks for taking a listen to us. Coming up here in about 15 minutes, going to talk with Ben Wergel, talk some Badgers, and find out his thoughts on this team as we head towards the Big Ten tournament and then ultimately to the NCAA tournament. And where this team is right now. Get his thoughts on this. Just kind of see if his observations are the same as mine. And in many cases, just to kind of see what the Badgers are going to be. Because last year, and I said this before, that look, they started out kind of slow, and you got the sense that oh my goodness, woe is me. And if you're a Badger fan, and then they came on, they really, things began to click. The offense began to click, but we're getting late in the season. You're kind of waiting for that run, and they haven't provided that run. They got off to a very good start. On Sunday against Michigan, and jumped out to that early lead, but just couldn't sustain it. And so things kind of went south after that fact. So we're going to talk some Badger basketball coming up here in a little bit. Also in another hour, we're going to talk with Andrew Wagner of the State Journal, also Forbes.com, and we're going to talk some Brewers baseball with him. His pitchers and catchers reporting tomorrow. For the Brewers as well. So we'll get into that discussion. A lot of people with a lot of stuff to say. Certainly. Appreciate everybody chiming in. This one is from Jake, who says, I think J.J. Watt is going to be a Green Bay Packer. It just seems like it's destiny. I wouldn't say it's destiny, but if the Packers figure out a way to get him, then it's certain. There's two sides to this. One is the legitimate business side. Does he make sense for your team, for your system, for your coach, for the players around him to come into this situation and be a viable entity? Okay. The other aspect of this is if they should go after him and get him, that also then sends a loud message to the guys inside that locker room and to the fan base of, we are going for it. It would be a really big breath of fresh air from what we see. Now, look, Brian Gutekunst has put his money where his mouth is before. When he brought in Preston and Zadarius Smith, those were signings that people kind of went, I don't know if that's going to be huge. And it turned out to be really, really solid for this franchise. So it's not like Brian Gutekunst is the exact mimic of Ted Thompson, because he has done things. So I'm not going to jump that track and say, he's not that guy, because he is. But this past season was the counter opposite. This past season was we're going to think about the future. And that pissed off a lot of people, because you can see the window closing with Aaron Rodgers, whether it's in a year or 2 or 5. you can see the window closing. And you know you only have so much time. It is not normal for franchises to have back-to-back-to-back Hall of Fame quarterbacks. The chances of Jordan Love working out and being a Hall of Fame style quarterback, somebody that you can hang your hat on and say, that guy is going to take us to a Super Bowl championship, is unbelievably unlikely. The historically, it will tell you it's not supposed to happen. So that's the reason I think there's a lot of anxiety on behalf of Packers fans to say, hey, we want you to go for it and go for it right here, right now. So that would be a loud salvo over the bow of enthusiasm for Green Bay Packers fans, in my opinion. 877-867-1670. Again, 877-867-1670. You want to chime in, please feel free to go ahead and do so. The Milwaukee Bucks getting ready to hold a press conference to talk about the allowance of fans into the Fiserv Forum. That's a big deal. Now, I know they're talking about a couple of hundred, which is disappointing when you've got an arena that can hold 17,000, 18,000. Maybe a little bit less than that, depending on, whatever it happens to be. But they're talking about fans coming back into the stands, and they're excited about it. Fans being allowed back into the games in almost a year. Peter Fagan with the press conference right now says this is, quote, going to be a fun night, end quote, as fans are allowed back into the Fiserv. I'm excited for this. Maybe, now I don't think you're going to get concerts there anytime soon because, one, you've got a lot of booking agencies that just aren't sending big acts out on the road right now because you can't make enough money. You can't support these big tours. So we'll wait and see there. But it's at least a step in a positive direction. I'm not saying the right direction, but at least a step in a positive direction for many fans that have been waiting for this for quite some time. So you start to see a little light at the end of a tunnel. Okay, I know throughout the rest of the state you didn't get a lot of snow, and I didn't where I live. I got maybe an inch or two overnight tonight, but I know people that are the south and people near the Lake Michigan coastline, holy mackerel, got buried. So in a time in which, like right now, I could look at my roof and probably see about 16 inches of snow on the roof. When you're buried in snow and it's been bitterly cold and you're just cooped up and you can't wait for summer, you can't wait for what used to be state fair, summer concerts, outdoor concerts, festivals, boating, motorcycling, golfing, things of gathering natures. You can't wait for this. So I think any fans into any event is a good thing. But I also think that, I think realistically, if you're going to be able to put 50 to 75% people in bars and restaurants, then you should be able to put 25 to 30% people into the stadiums, into the arenas. So at least I would believe so. So anyway, just my thought, but that's my soapbox, I guess, more so than anything. Let's see here. Badgers are not athletic enough, says Phil. They are big, and if they can hit the three, they're tough, but just not athletic enough, he says, to take the ball to the hole and convert on many other opportunities. Tom says, I believe that 12 doesn't need any more weapons, meaning Aaron Rodgers. Going after JJ could be that all-in that Green Bay needs, especially if he can still play on the inside. Chris says, love the chats during the breaks. This one is from Stoley, who says, I believe the Badgers are going to be a good team come tournament time. They've been tested and they're veteran. It's a great premise, and on paper that looks good, but they just haven't. Against a team like Michigan, they got off to that fast start. The second half is when you would expect that veteran experience to really kind of take over and guide them, and it didn't. Their shooting just went like ice cold. It wasn't even like cold. It was just ice cold down the stretch. So that's what we're going to talk with Ben Wergel coming up here in about 10 minutes about. Just a little bit about this Badgers team and about his thoughts as they go towards the Big Ten and the NCAA tournament. A lot of different questions over on Facebook. This is from Jacob. Jacob writes in the email inbox over there on Facebook. He says, do you think that J.J. Watt would sign for $3 to $4 million as opposed to 7 to 10? I think most people are predicting that he's going to get anywhere from 9 to 12. Jacob, if I don't know, he doesn't have to. That's why the J.J. Watt thing, as much as you want to get amped up about it, it's really in his hands. It truly is. Is because I think if the Packers felt that they couldn't afford him at all, they wouldn't even be interested. They would just say, look, we're way over the cap. We don't have the ability. We've got other needs and other priorities, so we're going to go in that direction. But the fact that you're hearing the Packers' voice in this at least says that if it would come to fruition, they can make some room, okay, which makes you feel good. Now, how much room do they need to make? It's the big question. And that's up to JJ. There's two things that work here. One, what does he want? Does he want the money? Does he want a Super Bowl? Because I don't think it right now in today's culture with the salary cap going backwards instead of forwards and so many teams that are vying for a Super Bowl dealing with salary cap restraints right now. I think there's those two things begin to clash, okay? Your want for a Lombardi trophy versus your want for the money. And then secondly, if he takes a big discount, how many people in the Players Association are going to get really pissed off? Because they're going to probably try to persuade him as well to say, no, don't completely devalue what it is you are, because then you lower, the high tide raises all ships, and a good tide that takes a less big time discount begins to lower that level as well. So I think that's the reason you look at JJ and say, what is he willing to take? What can he take? What is allowable for him to take? All that kind of stuff, What else we got? Phil says the Badgers are a good basketball team, not a great basketball team. Last year they had the mojo going into the Big Ten tournament. It is a damn shame that COVID hit when it did. I really felt that this team was an Elite Eight or Final Four team last season. I couldn't agree more. Last year, there were so many things about last year. I think the Bucks were on the right path. I still think they would have had trouble in the postseason, but I think they were on the right path. And the home court advantage certainly would have played into what it is they were doing. I think, my personal opinion, they probably get to an Eastern Conference Finals last year, playing at the Fiserv Forum, had COVID not hit. I think the Badgers were on a roll, and they were feeling it. I really believe that they were probably maybe an Elite Eight team, Sweet 16, Elite Eight. I don't know about Final Four, but they were certainly trending in the right direction, and Greg Gard deserved all the accolades that he got last season, without a doubt. But I said, look, the Badgers got screwed. The Brewers announced Christian Yelich is signed. Long-term deal. We're keeping this guy here. Everything is headed in the right direction. There's mojo down at Brewers spring training, and then, bam, COVID hits. And then that slowed it down. Bucks got slowed down. Badgers got slowed down. I've said time and again, the Milwaukee Admirals, they had a Calder Cup in their sights to win a championship as the AHL, the best team in hockey in the AHL. And that came to a screeching halt. Just so many things last year went by the wayside, and when it came to sports in Wisconsin. And then that doesn't even begin to talk about the DNC that was coming, the Ryder Cup that was coming, so many other things. We as a sports nation in the upper Midwest, specifically Wisconsin, took a kick to the crotch, man, when everything began to break last year. So we're going to talk more about this Badgers team coming up, though. Ben Wergel from the Badger Blitz is going to be joining us. We're going to talk with him. If you got any questions you want me to ask, you can hit me up over on many of the different platforms. If you're watching the stream, just remember the stream, you're not going to hear his audio because we're not completely set up for that today. It will be there tomorrow, but I still appreciate you taking a watch and paying attention to the program. But you can follow us over on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitch. Just look for Bill Michaels on both and subscribe. Thanks so much for being a part of the program in that particular fashion. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. Talk next. Okay, what else we got? What are the chances Packers get J.J. Watt? Jacob, I would say probably 70-30 they don't. I know that's not what you want to hear, but at least they're in the mix. And if it becomes better Awesome. Joey says, go Bucks. I am in agreement. Looking forward to watching the game tonight. Got a lot. Nice to hear you guys. Nice to see you. Carmelo, I don't do politics, man. I just don't. Just saying. I don't get into the Biden stuff, none of that stuff. Oh, good question, by the way, Aaron, about state recruits. We'll ask that as well. I agree. Welcome back. Willie Nelson. How about that, huh? Going back a few years. Toby Keith. Trying to appeal to all the masses now on the program. Good stuff. Good stuff. Got a lot of new stuff coming. By the way, I am, and I get a lot of people that say, hey, they love the music to the program. If you've got something that you want to hear as some of our music for this thing, it's not that I'm opening up the request line, but if you got something, shoot it to us, and we'll see if we can't grab it and all that kind of good sense. For those watching on the stream, I know you don't start yelling at me. You're not going to get the audio of our buddy Ben Wergel. It'll be up and running tomorrow, but you can always listen on the stream at Mad City Sports Zone, the website out there for WOZN, and you can always find us there as well and pay attention to both the video side of things and the audio side of things. And but we'll get it up and running for you tomorrow. Joining us now on the hotline, our good buddy Ben Wergel from the Badger Blitz. Go to badgerblitz.com. You can read his stuff there. Ben, how you doing? We're doing great. My biggest question is, and if you are seeing the same thing I am, or if I'm way off base, This team is going to go as far as their shooting ability goes, just for the fact that they still hustle, they still play defense. But, man, when they go cold as cold can possibly be. And that's what's ultimately cost them. Am I wrong in that assessment? Is it sets, or is it just not being able to get? Because I've seen them look against Michigan in the second half. They had open looks. It's nothing more, in my opinion, than just suddenly they begin to struggle, and everybody struggles. It's like the old adage of hitting becomes contagious in baseball. I think missing shots and the pressure of missing shots in basketball with this team specifically has become prevalent. I don't know how else to explain it. And if I'm Greg Gard, it's nothing that he's doing, in my opinion, right? The next question I have, and I got a lot of people that are listening on the stream that they said the future. Now we know, and we'll talk more about this team going into the Big Ten tournament and obviously the NCAA tournament, but the future of this team, recruits coming in. Talk about the Badgers, because this has just been a weird year, almost a year anyway, since COVID and since quarantines and lockdowns, and recruiting and such has been halted, and everybody's doing things on video and Zoom. What does the future hold right now for the Badgers? No, no. Right. Talking with Ben Wergel of BadgerBlitz.com. You can read his stuff there. So before we even get to the end of the season, before we go through the Big Ten tournament, where do you think they fit right now in realm of the NCAA tournament? Are they a 5 seed, a 6 seed? Where are they? Right. What did you notice? Because last year this team started out the season somewhat struggling, and then it all just started to come together. What's the difference? Like you'd said, there's seniors, there's a lot of players, the majority of players from last year back. What is there one straw that's not stirring the drink? Great stuff as always, Ben. I appreciate you joining us on the program, and we're definitely going to have you back real soon, okay? There you go. Ben Wergel, BadgerBlitz.com. You can read his stuff there. Again, go to BadgerBlitz.com. That's kind of the lowdown on the Wisconsin Badgers. It's just a matter of, like he said, playing with house money and guys playing with a little bit more confidence. And it's just it's just a little mind-numbing that just things haven't worked better. And it seems like you just need something. You need that win. You need to get a little pressure off you. You breathe a little bit, a little confidence boost, and maybe something like that would put the Badgers over the hump because they're still a good basketball team. They're just kind of trying to find themselves right now. Let's do this. We'll step away, take a quick break, come back. More of the Bill Michaels Show next. Sorry, Brett, missed your question. I didn't see it. It just flew past me. Tyler, thanks. Thanks for listening. The guest feed will be coming soon. We will have all of that worked out tomorrow, I promise you. We got a lot of things we need to kind of maneuver here. And the new board will be in tomorrow. So I apologize for not. Man, I got to shave. Gotta get the shave on, huh? It's part of working at home, though. Aaron, you're right. 2022, loaded for the Badgers. The biggest question in 2022 is once you get fans and everything back in the stands and you got that kind of talent coming in, Can they finally knock off Ohio State? That's going to be the big question. Maria Davis asking everybody to respond to her. You know, she's probably, trying to sell something. You know what I'm talking about? You're going to get that every now and then. Maria, you're a troll. It's not even your real profile. What a loser. There's a lot of things I want to say, and I just can't. Probably some dude with his pants down trying to get your money. If it is a girl, you whine her, you dine her. You're paying for everything. You take her home. You get a little amorous. You reach tree trunk. No. Guarantee she doesn't look like her picture either. Apparently she's from overseas as well. Maybe not the best orthodontics over there. Ah. Boom, 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 boom. Where do you get this music tomorrow, you know? Here we go, people. Tom, you're a mess. Oh, my goodness. We need something from Budweiser back here, like a big stand-up. That's what we need. I love this tune. You hear this at any festival from any live music band, you can't help but get going. It's just so good. Like you're driving in your car right now and you're like tapping your foot and on the gas pedal, you're flying down the road, you know? Welcome back. The Bill Michaels Show continues on. We're glad you're with us. Thanks, as always, so much. Certainly appreciate it. Jalen Johnson from Duke. I don't know if anybody's been following this story. Jalen Johnson, the freshman from Duke. In 13 games, he's averaging just over 11 points a game, 6.1 rebounds per game, 2.2 assists per game. Has decided to leave the program because they're not using him enough and he's coming off the bench, so he needs to concentrate on his pro career. This is what's wrong with the NBA. He's got a lot of upside, don't get me wrong, but this is what, because there's going to be a team that's going to take this guy. He's clearly not ready for the NBA. He is a top prospect, but he's going to be another guy that's going to come in. And don't get me wrong, you're going to come in, you're going to make your millions. You're going to get paid because the NBA right now, money-wise, is just ridiculous money. But he's going to leave Duke and as a freshman and come into the NBA and make his money. And then he's done. He's 6 years. You won't even know his name. Won't even know his name. 6 years. He may bounce around a little bit, but this is what's wrong with, and there are certain players that can be chosen that will have success. Kobe, LeBron, they have taken that mold. Kevin Garnett, they've taken that mold. They have raised it, and they have said, look, you can come into the NBA as a young player, and you can make a name for yourself. But so many of these young guys that are coming in, they are bench fillers at best. They can bounce around. They'll make a little bit of money. They don't get an education. And I'm not saying they're all like this, okay? So I'm not stereotyping anybody, but you're not ready to be an NBA player. You're not ready to be a life participant. But you're going to go to the NBA. You're going to make millions. And then in 10 years, nobody's going to know your name. And you better be smart enough with your money. Otherwise, you don't have an education, and you're going to be out on your ass somewhere. It's always astounding to me when somebody hires an agent or somebody hires a firm to represent you. Their job is to tell you how great you are. And when you start believing it, it's 11.2 points per game, 6.1 rebounds, and 2 assists as a freshman in 13 games. That's it. You're not even starting. But you got to go away because you got to concentrate on your NBA career. That's what's wrong with, in my opinion, with the NBA and some of these other sports. Now, physically, football, you cannot come in as a freshman or a sophomore and just say you're going to play in the NFL. You're going to take a beat down like nobody's business. You're just not ready. You're not physically ready for that. But the NBA, they put their arms out and say, come on, we're good to go. And you can go overseas. You can make a lot of money overseas as well. There's a lot of money in the game of basketball to be made, without a doubt. But this is, you look at a team like Duke and the success that they've had. Kentucky, the same. Kentucky's now on the outside looking in. They've been somewhat down this season. We talked about it a little bit earlier with Ben Wergel. You look at Kansas. Kansas is down. A lot of these blue blood programs, because they invest in the one and dones. So if you don't win it in that window, that quick, very open, very closed window, you cannot have that sustained success that you would normally, or that you may have grown accustomed to. I mean, there's rumblings now down in Kentucky that is Calipari the guy anymore? Is it past his prime? I mean, part of it is because of the way he goes about his business, the way he recruits. He's looking for the one and dones, and the one and dones will hurt you unless they come in and just set the world on fire, and they are everything and more that were billed to be coming in. That just you're going to have a lot of disappointment and a lot of heartbreak, more so than a lot of championships and a lot of deep runs in the tournament. So, but yeah, Jalen Johnson with the astounding numbers of 11.2 points per game, 6.1 rebounds per game, and 2.2 assists per game, getting ready to go pro, has to concentrate on the pro career, because God knows those are pro-like numbers, right? Yes. He doesn't even start at Duke. Now he's been banged up. I get it. He's had some injury issues. But yeah. There you go. Can't believe he's leaving Duke early. Krzyzewski keeps everybody. But he is. He's taken off. So anyway, that being said, we got a lot more coming up on the program on the next hour. I'm going to talk some Brewers baseball. Major League Baseball spring training. There's some things to look for, and that is obviously the Dodgers and their pitching staff is just aces beyond aces, and they are by far the best pitching rotation in all of baseball. But who else can be 10 Cardinals in it? The top 11 has the Brewers in it. believe it or not. The Brewers can be competitive. They added a little depth to their outfield by picking up a Derek Fisher, who was drafted by the Astros back when David Stearns was the AGM there. So he's got some familiarity. So maybe he's going to add a little bit of depth. And he does have a little bit of pop in his bat, but statistically speaking, his numbers, they're just not great. He hasn't hit over 200 in his major league career, although he's hit close between 270 and 280 in his minor league career consistently. But he just hasn't been able to do it in the big league level. But he's going to be more of a glove and a fill-in than he is going to be an everyday player anyway. So they did make that move, but they did not get the Turner, eye candy that they were hoping for. He ends up signing elsewhere. So the Dodgers are the team to beat. But can Major League Baseball and the union throughout this season not create such a disconnect with its fan base that we don't all get to the end of the season and just want to throw up and say, go away? We'll get into that discussion when we come back. Also, Andrew Wagner from Forbes.com and for the Wisconsin State Journal. He covers the Brewers, also covers the Bucks. We're going to talk with him when we come back after the next hour gets underway. So stay tuned for that. Hang in there. More of the Bill Michaels Show is next. Welcome back to the program. Tonight, special night down at the Fiserv Forum. Fans are coming back. Fans are coming back. Looking forward to that. See a few people hanging out. Looking forward to having some real live voices and cheering in the background, rather than the canned stuff that has been ringing in our ears. So, looking forward to that. Coming up a little bit later on. Can Major League Baseball and the Union play nicely? Good article out of USA Today. It's been a nice couple of weeks of silence after the Union passed on MLB's offer to delay the season, prompting the league to fire off a statement that made it appear like pitchers and catchers reporting on time was a bad thing. We know Major League Baseball does not handle their PR very well. You know, they just don't. The league's desire for expanded playoffs and the players' hope for a universal DH will not go away anytime soon. Through the latter appeal has diminished now that free agency has largely wrapped up. That doesn't mean that both sides won't discuss both matters all the way into April 1st's opening day. Even if it's likelier they punt the issues to next winter, the public jousting over pandemic pay and protocols last year, ugly, unplanned prelude to the main event. The CBA's expiration coming this December. Tranquility in 2021 is probably too much to ask for, but we can all hope. That's why spring training is typically, that's what it's for anyway. So we'll see if indeed these two sides can play nicely together. I'll say this. Baseball, and if anybody in baseball's commissioner's office is listening, the one thing you don't need is public arguing right now. You already are hanging on to a tenuous fan base. A fan base that was just kind of up to here with it. You're opening 30,000 seat stadiums to 5,000 people, which, okay, it's 5,000 people, but it's not an understandable methodology to this. Baseball fans want to go see baseball games, but to the minimal amount of fans that are being allowed in, that's not even close to a super spreader event, and it's not even close to 6 foot of social distancing. It's like 30 feet of social distancing. I mean, it's a large space. I want to see more fans in the stands. I want to see it done, obviously, safely. But I don't think right now is the time to sit out and start publicly jousting, as the article puts it, to just turn your fans off more. I've said it all along. Get ready. Enjoy baseball this season, because I can't imagine baseball happening in 2022 on time and with that sense of normalcy. I just can't. These two sides don't agree on what day it is, much less on the parameters of a contract, of a new collective bargaining agreement. Aaron says, give me the universal DH. It cost Jimmy Nelson his career when he got hurt. I love the cerebral side of baseball. And if you're an athlete, whether it's a pitcher, first baseman, outfielder, whatever, you should be able to play the game. Hit, run, bunt, whatever. Field, catch, throw, all that kind of stuff. I'm a big believer in that. I enjoy that side of the game. I know there are some people that don't. And you have the argument of, let your guys go up and grip it and rip it. I don't want to see, pitchers hit or bunt. I do. For the same reason I want to see a player figure out how to hit against the shift. If you're a player and the shift is on and you can't take the ball the opposite direction, that's on you. Don't outlaw the shift because you're incapable of taking the ball in the opposite direction. You're incapable of being a fully ranged baseball player. It's astounding to me that we have to make a rule, or want to at least consider a rule, so we don't have to disable players who won't play the game the way it's supposed to be played to begin with. I mean, that's what's so off-putting about the game. So I want to see baseball be baseball, but it's the public arguing over the money and over the circumstances and situation, not to mention The inability at this point in time to put the ball in play within a span of 6 minutes or less on average. You're trying to figure out all these other things for fans to do. Hey, you can go to your mobile app and order food. You can play the interactive games on your phone, but yet people are getting hit in the face. We are a fast food society. We want it here, we want it now, we want it out the window, we want it hot, we want it fresh, and we want it right. But there is something to be said for absorbing the experience. And because baseball, the product itself is boring to many, people don't go to absorb the experience of the game. They want to absorb everything else around them. So therefore, it has to become an event. I just have always said, if your product is worth watching, people will pay whatever to come and see it. You don't need any more evidence of that than the NFL. It is what it is. There's waits all over the country for fans to get in the stands. Baseball, why is that? Because you've become so reliant on the grip it and rip it society. You have taken what is the taboo of a strikeout and made it acceptable to many. Your analytics have overtaken the game, and yes, it can make, in certain circumstances, teams better. It can bring you and your franchise a championship. And those franchises that have won, they're not going to complain one iota. But baseball as a whole, as a game, as a sport, as a pastime, is failing miserably. When Bud Selig left, it was at just damn near the height of popularity and the height of money. Since then, it's like the Catch and Jammer kids are running the thing. It's like and I hate to put down a used car salesman, but maybe the stereotypical used car salesman from years ago, it's like that guy's running the business. Just looking you in the eye, kind of lying to you, just doesn't really give a damn about you. It's more about the business, and he's going to fast find out it is actually about us. It's about the fan. Without the fans don't watch the games. The fans don't listen to the games. The fans don't spend money on the sponsors. Therefore, the contracts go down. Therefore, the money goes down, and suddenly you're left standing there with your pockets out going, what the hell did I lose? Well, what was $1.5, $2 billion, $3 billion investment is now on the decline. Why? Because you don't give a damn about the fans. That's part of the problem. You're so busy arguing over your money and what you want, you're forgetting about the people that are footing the bill. Meanwhile, we're going, oh yeah, it's a pandemic. We can go up the street and buy an entire 12-pack of beer for $6. So what in the hell am I paying $12 a beer at the stadium for? Why in the world would I do that? Why would I want to take my discretionary dollars and go, you know what? I got $100 I'd love to blow. Maybe not. Yes, we are pining for outdoor events, and yes, we are pining for games to go to. But I think we've all discovered there's some other things in life, and baseball better remember that. That's just my 2 cents worth. That's just my 2 cents. So coming up in the next hour, we're going to talk some more baseball. Andrew Wagner, the Wisconsin State Journal, going to be here, and Forbes.com. We're going to talk some baseball and basketball with him. As a matter of fact, the Bucs making the announcement. There's going to be some fans back in the stands, which is good to hear. Good to hear. Daniel says, I would give anything to be back in the stands paying for the $10 beers. Tony says, you've got that right. Why spend all that money when I figured out I can watch it all? Waste my time and dollars on a product that doesn't give a damn about us anymore anyway. Differing opinions. Where do you stand? We'll talk about that when we come back. More on the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this. So for those of you watching that wanted to know, here's the rest of the office. That's Elmo. That's from the last game at County Stadium. My media pass, the ticket, the VIP pass to get in. Some awards and such. So there you go. Welcome back. We are glad you are on board. Maybe J.J. Watt really wants to play against his younger brothers, while the Steelers have been pegged as the likely landing spot for Watt in free agency, so that he can play on the same defense as TJ and the same fullback brother Derek. Cleveland.com reports that Watt is, quote, seriously considering the Browns because he was released. Watt is eligible to sign immediately and not be forced to wait until the start of the new league year in March. The Browns and the Steelers face off twice per season as the AFC North rivals, and the Browns eliminated the Steelers in the playoffs last month. That's certainly what spiced up the sibling rivalry. Why would Watt consider the Browns? Well, the three-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year is looking for money, a Super Bowl contender, a strong supporting cast, and a positive environment, according to the report. So, again, if he's looking for the money, out. That's not going to put him in the running when it comes to the Green Bay Packers. He has had numerous injuries. He played in all 16 games this past year for just the second time since 2015. He totaled 5 sacks, but could be more productive if not getting double teamed, playing opposite, some of the pass rushers they have in Cleveland, specifically Myles Garrett. Him and Garrett could be just a force. Now the Browns are expected to have about $21.7 million in cap space before making any additional cuts. That's much more flexibility than the Steelers or Watt's hometown Packers can provide. And the defending Super Bowl champion Buccaneers have several of their own impact free agents that they have to re-sign with their cap space. Browns coach Kevin Stefanski praised Watt before facing the Texans back in November, saying he's a very unique player, and that combination of size, strength, athleticism, quickness, and power, it's really unrivaled. But now it looks as if, did you ever think that you would hear a player of J.J. Watt's ilk saying Cleveland? That's how far the Browns have come, saying Cleveland would be the landing spot. That Cleveland could be the landing spot for J.J. Watt. So think about that. Think about that. In the meantime, which I know Packers fans don't want to hear that, but that's what's coming out of the Cleveland Plain Dealer, that at least some executives in Cleveland are pretty excited that maybe JJ's doing more than looking over that fence to see if indeed he wants to become a Cleveland Brown. In the meantime, the ratings for the NFL, some point to the Super Bowl viewership decline, only 92 million people watched, as evidence of the NFL loosening its grip as by far the most popular sport in the country, which that's not even relevant because the NFL still remains king. They just are. You know, they just are. They're still king. Clearly, they're still the king. Super Bowl was down 9%. The World Series down 30%. The NBA Finals down 49%. And the NHL Finals down 61%. Super Bowl's decline by only 9% illustrates the immense popularity of the sport when every other sport is flailing in double digits and beyond. 30% or more in decline, while the Super Bowl goes down 9% and people are panicking? No. More importantly, does any of it really matter? Will any NFL network or any network use this as some kind of leverage in their upcoming negotiations with the NFL? Of course not. The new media deals will be massive. There's going to be a traditional network, suitor, NBC, CBS, Fox, ABC, and ESPN, and the streaming suitors such as Google, Yahoo, Twitter, Facebook, Amazon, etc. There is no more powerful programming for mass viewership than NFL programming. Both the league and the networks know this, so they're not worried about it at all. A slight Super Bowl ratings dip, especially in this environment, will have zero impact on the negotiations between the NFL and these ventures. However, the Thursday night game still remains to be somewhat of an issue because the NBC, CBS, Fox, ABC, ESPN, all of these entities want it, but they wanted exclusivity. They want exclusivity. The NFL Network takes it, and that's their night, so they just grab it. But then they have given it to Amazon Prime, and Amazon Prime doesn't produce it. All they do is restream it in environment and pay the NFL to do so. So Fox is like, well, why are we paying our broadcasters, paying our cameramen, bringing in our entire production crew for a one-night event in which we then have to turn it all back around and get to the next city by Sunday in just a couple of days? Why are we doing this only to give it away to the NFL and to a streaming service who is making money off of our product? And that's a legitimate question. So that's something the NFL is going to have to figure out. But beyond that, the NFL still is king. Still is king. And will be for a long time to come. A long time to come. So I know there's some people saying, oh, it's down. They're paying the price. No, there's reasons. There's a bunch of reasons, I think, that you can weigh into this. I think you can look at it and say, COVID. First and foremost, people have just looked for other things to do. The game itself has not been as exciting without fans in the stands. The roar of the crowd, the legitimate roar of the crowd, not that piped-in crap that's consistent, that just by the time you listen to it for 5 minutes, it just irritates the hell out of you. So that... the fact that people have found other things to do during COVID, people are not having big parties, people are not bringing others together, you're not celebrating it in the same way, you're not going to the bars and pubs on Sunday with your buddies and with your friends and with your couples, and you're not getting that whole group together, bus trips, camaraderie, all that stuff. You're kind of sitting at home. You're petting the dog, you're hanging with the kids are annoying you, and your spouse is driving you nuts. Maybe you're watching it together, maybe you ain't. Maybe you're figuring out other things to do in your home. You've got it on in the background, but you're really not paying attention. Stuff like that. Maybe your team wasn't in it. Maybe it was the Brady effect. Maybe there was a little bit of an amount of Brady hatred. I will say this, and I'm not a Brady hater, but okay, we can be done now. Brady has won another Super Bowl. He's won his 7th. He won it without Bill Belichick. He went on the Scorched Earth tour. He proved to everybody he can do it without Belichick's system. He did it his way. He did it as a leader. There's a lot of quality things there. And as much as I respect the hell out of Tom Brady, I'm done with it. Ready for somebody new. Ready for somebody new. I don't know if I'm rooting for even Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid again in the Super Bowl. It's been there, done that. Let's do something else. It'd be great to see Buffalo. Great to see it. I mean, you talk about a franchise and a city that deserves it. Cleveland, another one. I'm not a big Cleveland Browns fan. But Cleveland fans, damn, if they don't deserve something, I'll tell you that right now. You look at, you can't even say San Diego anymore because now they're LA. But the Chargers fan base, long-time fan base that's been there and just has not had a lot to cheer about. Tennessee, Nashville came so close some years back, and then they fell short, just a couple of yards short. And they've been pining for a Super Bowl win ever since. There's a lot of those AFC teams out there that I could see getting into this thing. Indianapolis, another one. They've won one with Peyton Manning, but they haven't been back since. Wouldn't mind seeing them do it. There's a lot of AFC teams that I wouldn't mind. I'm not looking for the Jets to come back and win one anytime soon, because they're just not that team, not that franchise. But you talk about another team that needs some positive mojo, and I'm sure the league wouldn't mind having New York into a Super Bowl. So even though it wasn't that long ago that the Giants were there, but the Jets certainly, well, that's another team. The Texans, after all they've been through, I don't think they're going to be there anytime soon. They created their own mess, and they're going to have to lay in that bed for a while. But that's a franchise that is one eyebrow raised, hoping beyond hope that they could get to a Super Bowl. I mean, they haven't been able to see really decent postseason play since the Oilers were around. So they're looking for a lot of different ventures. So the NFL, I'm ready for some new blood, but I'm also ready. As a Packers fan, 2014 sucks. 2020 sucks. You were that close. Last year, 2019, you really, you didn't really, you didn't have it to be there. Same goes the year that they went to Atlanta in the NFC Championship game. They were clearly outclassed by Atlanta. Atlanta was the better team. They deserved to win. And you just got a little bit of momentum. You fumbled it away. So it's, the Packers had no business beating Dallas that year, but they did. I was glad they beat Dallas just so we could all shut up Skip Bayless, because I can't stand that guy. So, but 2014 and this past season, those are the two that stick in the gut. Those are the two that are like, Packers need to get back. And even still, if Packers get back and win it this year, this upcoming season, I'm still going to say they should have 4 championships under their belt instead of just 2. So I want to see them get back there real quick. 877-867-1670. Again, 877-867-1670. If you want to chime in, feel free to go ahead and do so. You can also hit us up on Twitter, as many have. I'll get a couple of tweets here in just a second, but at Bill_Michaels. Email us the Bill Michaels at gmail.com. That's another great way to get a hold of us. Going over to the email, this one is from Chris. And Chris says, seriously, the Browns, that's what he's considering. I think the Browns are going to regress this year, and he is going to have a lot of regrets if he signs in Cleveland. Do you still have your T-shirt? Can you wear it? What you're referring to is the T-shirt that I talk about all the time. I still have it, yes. It says, if it's brown, flush it down. Living in Cincinnati, growing up in Cincinnati, that's what my dad bought for me. The unfortunate thing is, it was back when I was in grade school, and it wouldn't fit me now. It's an extra large, not a 2X. So it might be a little bit tight. It would show off all the man flab or something. You know what I mean? I wouldn't sport it right now. Maybe I have it framed. Put it in a frame behind me over my shoulder. I will not, as Kathy puts it, would you become a Browns fan if JJ signs there? No. I was a Houston Texans fan. I liked Deshaun Watson. I liked DeAndre Hopkins. I liked some of the players they had there. I hated the Bill O'Brien choice for head coach. I really did at the time, and even more so now. They were kind of a team, that red, white, and blue team you could kind of root for, But now, no. Not a fan of Houston, and I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think he's really solid in his progressive commercials, but Baker Mayfield just got so saturated to me, and it just pisses me off for whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm anti-Cleveland. Maybe it's just because of my upbringing. I don't know, but I don't think I could start rooting for the Cleveland Browns, even if J.J. Watt was there. There's a lot of other teams I could root for before that. Now, no, I couldn't root for him if he was going to, say, Minnesota or Chicago. Couldn't root for him if he was going to New England. Couldn't do that either. I certainly wouldn't be rooting for him if he went to Tampa Bay. I just couldn't do that. And I couldn't root for him if he was going to Seattle. Just teams that I just not a fan of. But I certainly hope that the talk is more heavily inundated rumor at this point, that there is a lean towards the Cleveland Browns. So anyway, Let's do this. Let's talk some happy, warm thoughts when we come back. Going to talk with our buddy Andrew Wagner of the Journal. Also head off to Warren and catch Brewers spring training. We'll talk with him about the Brew Crew, about their pitching staff, about their Justin Turner sweepstakes that fell short. We'll talk to him about that. The addition of Colton Wong. We may even discuss a little Bucks basketball when we come back. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next. For those watching on the stream, you're not hearing the music. The sun is starting to come out. It's getting really bright over here. Welcome back to the program, the Bill Michaels Show. We continue on, and we are glad you are with us. Thanks so much. Talk a little Brewers baseball. We'll get back into the J.J. Watt talk. It appears from some of the articles that I'm reading, if I'm just doing a little search online, that things are progressing rather quick in the J.J. Watt sweepstakes. Somebody had asked me how long it's going to take for him to sign. Is it going to be days? It might be as soon as this weekend. We're going to be talking 72 hours here. So we'll see, because since he was released, he is free to sign with anybody at any point in time. So we'll talk more about that coming up in a little bit. Talk some Brewers baseball from the State Journal, also from Forbes.com. Joining us now on the hotline, our buddy Andrew Wagner. Andrew, how you been, pal? Yeah. Yep. Not bad. Yeah, there's quite a repertoire now when it comes to the music for this program. So yeah, we got a lot more to add to it. But yeah, a little dust on a bottle never hurts anybody. Blow the dust out. Well, that's the thing, is in the area in which you live. Now, you're still down by the lake, aren't you? Okay. Wow. It's sunny where I live, and I'm only probably 5 miles from you. And it's sunny here, but that lake effect's now, yeah, absolutely. So you're probably pining a little bit for baseball as it used to be, to head out to Arizona with pitchers and catchers reporting on Wednesday. Give me the overview of what you think of this team going from the offseason into where we are now. No, I completely agree, because at this point in time, this goes into the final year of Ron Renicky, when I said you hope, and you go through each position, you hope that they perform, you hope that this guy does this, you hope that Lorenzo Cain comes back and plays well and kind of picks up where he left off, as he got off to a rather quick start last season. You hope that Christian Yelich is Christian Yelich. You hope that Colton Wong gives you 265 to 275 with a good glove and a little bit of pop. You hope Orlando Arcia can figure out how to hit the money for an extended period of time. I mean, there's a lot of hope there. I guess, Keston here, all he has to do is catch and scoop. It's not like he's going to be climbing a ladder very often and bringing down balls at first base, but you hope that he can just play a little defense. So I guess if everything comes to fruition, this team offensively, if they're pretty good, I would assume they're going to win some games. At least on paper, their rotation's not bad. The back end of the bullpen, there's still a lot of talk about Josh Hayder. Does he get moved before season's end? And especially not knowing what the offseason is going to hold for Major League Baseball. Do you see them dealing him? And now, here's the question. If they're, say, an average team at best, do they deal him? But if they're a good team, do you even consider dealing him at that point? This pitching staff is so vital. We look at what the Dodgers have done, and that's just ridiculous out there. I mean, they're the hands-down favorite to be the best rotation in baseball and to win so many games and maybe repeat as champions. But beyond that, the Cardinals are pretty solid. They go out and get Arenado, but the division itself, Trevor Bauer's out of the division. You've got the Cubs and Darvish and Lester and such parting ways. Pittsburgh sucks. Where do the Brewers fall in this division right now? Now, side of the baseball, they pick up Derek Fisher. He's going to add a little depth to the outfield. Doesn't come with a lot of offensive firepower. When you talk statistically speaking, he's never hit above 200 in the bigs. He's hit 279 on average in the minors. But this is a guy that David Stearns knows. Is this one of those moves to catch lightning in a bottle? I like what David Stearns, and by the way, we're talking with Andrew Wagner of the State Journal and Forbes.com. I like what David Stearns has done. I like the fact that they were going after Turner. What do you think happened there? That it just they didn't want to match the money, or that he just didn't want to come to Milwaukee? Hey, real quick, I know you follow the Bucks. Bucks are looking forward to welcoming fans back into the Fiserv Forum, but this team, it's not about the wins right now. It's more so about just kind of finding themselves and getting themselves on the right path, and it's about the postseason. What do you see in the Bucks, this Bucks team this season, that's different from what we saw last year? Andrew, good stuff as always, and we'll talk again later on down the road. And if you do head out to spring training, enjoy the warmer weather, and hopefully you don't have to dig out anymore when you get back. Looks like we're actually going to get some above freezing temperatures going into the early part of next week, so maybe a little bit of this will melt away. Good stuff, buddy. We'll talk to you. Thank you, pal. Talk to you soon. There you go. Andrew Wagner, Forbes.com and the State Journal, joining us for a couple of minutes, and always appreciate the insight. Yeah, there's a lot of discussion regarding the Milwaukee Bucks. At what point do you stop saying we are learning, we're being educated, we're learning from our mistakes, and you actually begin to see the proof on the court consistently? Let's do that. We'll talk a little bit about the Bucks. Let me ask you this, okay? Let me ask you this. As we come back from break, has the interest in the NBA and in the Milwaukee Bucks grown coming into this season with the addition of Drew Holiday, some of the moves that they made in the offseason, coming out of the bubble from last year, the disappointment? Has it grown, or have you found yourself kind of folding your arms and saying, well, show me at the end of the season? Or is it not there? Give me your thoughts, because you've got a back-to-back MVP in Giannis, the face of the franchise, one of the faces of the NBA right now, right here in our own backyard. And it seems like, just right here on its face, like the interest has, I maybe saying it's been tempered might be putting it mildly, but I'm kind of gauging your thoughts. Let's talk a little NBA when we come back. What is your level of interest right now in what the Bucks got going on? Give me a shout. 877-867-1670. Again, 877-867-1670. You can hit us up over on the social platforms if you're watching the program as well. And we'd love to hear from you over on whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitch, whether it's Twitter, or over there on YouTube. You can hit us up in those platforms also right now as well. Stay tuned. A lot more to Bill Michaels Show coming up. Welcome back. We are glad you are with us. Thanks so much. The NBA, as the Bill Michaels Show continues, the NBA is, as we had mentioned before, I mean, just the finals alone down in the bubble were down 30% when it comes to viewership. And the interest, I think, in this area, and I look more so just for this area. I don't look necessarily for I don't necessarily look for other markets, okay? Because the NBA is really favorited, if you will, in other markets as opposed to what it's like in the Wisconsin market. In big cities, the NBA is a very big entity. In this market, the Packers reign supreme. It pretty much goes Packers, Brewers, and then depending on the season they're having, it's either Badgers or Bucks or Badgers, and then it kind of trickles down from there. But hands down, the Packers reign supreme. I mean, there's absolutely positively no doubt about that. But my question is, has your interest in the NBA, specifically this season, coming out of the bubble with Giannis winning back-to-back MVPs, has it grown? Has it remained the same? Has it diminished? What is your level of interest when it comes to the NBA? And Chris says, sports and Bucks fans will always be watching the NBA and watching the Bucks. And I agree with that. If you're a sports fan, just like with me here living in my particular situation in the house and, throughout the pandemic and such, I always have sports on somewhere in the background or what have you. I've always got something going. And I enjoy it. I mean, I genuinely do. I will say this, and I'm going to be quite honest here. It is the Bucks games in the past couple of years have been destinational viewing for me, where you plan your evening, whether it's going to the game or sitting down. The Bucks are on. I want to watch. This season, I have found myself with it on, and I have watched numerous games, and I had a lot of interest in Drew Holiday anyway. But it has not been I'm sitting here for the 2.5-hour investment that I have in the past. I just haven't. And I don't know specifically as to why. Maybe it's just because there's so many things going on in my life, around the house. I don't know. Maybe it's because I have had a chance to get back out and enjoy some things and get to a couple local pubs, or, whether it's, and now I will say this. When I'm at home and I go down to the Wagon Wheel, I do enjoy beverage, a cigar, and I'll sit down and watch the game. I usually make some dinner or get something, if I'm going to bring it in, and then I go downstairs and watch the game. That is a destination for me. But it used to be where I was all the time. I mean, I had everything. I had my laptop. I have a lap desk computer top. So I had the lap desk down. I had my laptop on it. I was taking notes. I mean, I haven't done that as much as I have in the past. I've watched it more as a casual fan. I've enjoyed it. I really have. But I've watched it more as a casual fan. And I've become more, I guess, as it might be said, frustrated in watching the play, for lack of a better term, in watching the play. I've become frustrated in watching the Bucks and their, at times, supposed three-point defense. I've become frustrated at watching Giannis chuck up threes that have no business being shot. I have a frustration in the up and down play at times of guys that, like Chris Middleton and such. I root for guys like Dante DiVincenzo to become a cog, an outside three-point shooting cog in this team. I appreciate the hustle of a Brook Lopez. I have appreciated the ambidexterity of Drew Holiday with all the tools that he brings, both defensively and offensively. I think Giannis is still one of the best, most athletic big men I've ever seen. So there's a lot of good. I do like when Chris Middleton is on, the ability to shoot, the ability to dish the basketball, his relationship with other guys on the court. So it's not like I'm sitting here bashing. I'm just saying These are the things that I've noticed throughout the season, but it has become very much an up and down year. And, obviously the record is a result of that, but I find myself not as intrigued by Bucks basketball as I have been in the past couple of seasons. So I'm engaging your thought and your interest in Bucks basketball. 877-867-1670. Again, 877-867-1670. So if you want to get a hold of us that way, give us a shout. Conan writes, I enjoy the Bucks, but I don't watch them as much as I used to. I'm waiting for the postseason to get underway so I can tell whether or not this team is going to disappoint us again. Jim says, when they get to the NBA Finals, wake me. Until then, don't really care. Frank says, you got to be crazy not to be enjoying what Giannis is doing. Well, he is not having an MVP season. He is still playing at an elite level. One of the best players I've ever watched. Love me some Bucks basketball. Jeremiah says, too much of the political influence from last year has completely turned me off to the NBA. I just can't go back and watch it without having a bad taste in my mouth. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest. That's from Jeremiah. So you just those four, you've got a myriad of things going. We'll come back and discuss this a little bit further. Coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show. Welcome back. We are glad you are with us. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself. This one's from Chris said, I think the Bucs are just trying to get or hit their stride. The team looks very different than they did last season. They do. That I will 100% admit with you. I think that the Bucs are, at this point in time, trying to figure things out. But at what point do you look at the Bucs and you go, you know what? You've been trying to figure things out for quite some time. You know, you've been trying to figure it out for a while. I'm still waiting for you to tell us that you're not learning from your mistakes, but and you always want to be learning. But at what point do you become, at what point do you say, okay, we're here, we've arrived? Usually they say after January. Well, we're 16 days into February now, right? So looking at this Milwaukee Bucks team, yeah, when you look at the standings, look, the Bucks are still in prime pouncing position. They're 16-11, but they're 16-11. We're not used to that. They lost 3 straight. We're not used to that. They're 5-5 in their last 10. We're not used to that. So maybe people have looked at this and said, you know what? They're not the most dominant team in the NBA. We're giving up. But that hasn't gotten them anywhere the last couple of years. They've been the most dominant team in the NBA and haven't been able to win it. So maybe that's why we're looking at this going, you know what? This team, yeah, they just kind of need to figure it out, get their rotation set, get their shooting down, get familiarity with everybody on the floor, including Drew Holiday, get him back from the COVID protocols and such, and really get him vaccinated again, and then maybe this thing begins to take off. You know? Then maybe we're starting to talk about a team that's beginning to hit its stride. Tom says, I have to say, you can almost hear the music by watching you bob your head around, rocking to it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Said, are you thinking that Bud is beginning to be part of the problem? That's, you know what? The end of this season is really going to dictate that. The last couple of years, the argument has been he hasn't been able to make the adjustments in the postseason, that they have not been able to play a half-court game, and they really haven't. This was a team that was very reliant on getting the fast break points, getting the basketball off the board, moving it up the court, and in the postseason, you slow it down. It becomes much, much more of a half-court game. Kevin says, missing Holiday isn't helping, but I'd much rather have the Bucks struggle in the first half of the season, figure it out, and get out into the playoffs, or get hot into the playoffs. So the past couple of years, we were hot all season, found a cold spell, went into the postseason with no momentum, ended with a dud. I agree. By the way, I know that there's a big push on right now to vote for many of the Milwaukee Bucks when it comes to the NBA playoffs. Is the playoff, or not the playoffs, but the All-Star game, is the All-Star game, I got to be honest, I haven't really paid attention to the NBA All-Star game in a long time. The Pro Bowl for the NFL, I don't even pay attention to. And I know that the festivities this year were all just virtual and saying hello to everybody. But I have not paid much attention to either the Pro Bowl or the NBA All-Star game in years. I just haven't. The slam dunk competition is outdated. It's the inventiveness is gone, you know, and it's become more of a popularity contest than it is for the actual quality of what some of these guys are doing. So I haven't watched that in years. It's become just a declining, why do it type of situation. But I still watch the Major League Baseball All-Star game. I still like the All-Star game in baseball, home run derby and such. There still is, they juiced it up, put some excitement to it. It's become so much better. But yeah, the NBA All-Star game, I don't care. Take a break, go away for a week. Yeah, we can talk a little bit about maybe what festivities it is they're doing, but it doesn't matter. And then after that, get back at it and let's see what the stretch run holds. But as we sit here, midway through February at this point, I could care less about the All-Star game. I just want to see the Bucks get better. I want to see the Bucks do something to where they begin to beat good teams in not necessarily a dominating fashion, but down the stretch when they're down. And this team is not – this is the way the Bucks go. They jump out to an early lead. Things look good. You feel good. You go away to a commercial break. You go away to eat your food, whatever it happens to be. You come back. They're down by 16. They don't play defense. They're lunging at guys beyond the three-point line. They're very flat-footed. And then they make a charge. Fourth quarter, they're down by 6, down by 7, whatever it happens to be. They storm back. They get it close to even. They miss a bunch of shots. Giannis is putting up threes, and then they end up losing the ballgame. That's the way the game goes. On games that they win, they get out early. The bench gives them a little bit more of a lead. They come back. They dominate. They win. They still have the largest margin of victory in the entire NBA, which is actually, I take that back. The Jazz now have taken that position over. The Jazz winning by 9.4 points per game. The Bucks 8.1 points per game. But still, the Bucks are 5 games over, 516-11. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It is coming up right after this. Welcome back. Final hour of the Bill Michaels Show. We continue on the J.J. Watt. I have said all along, I think that he is going to take a little bit of time to kind of weigh all of his options, but it seems like things are extremely hot right now. Things are heating up. DeAndre Hopkins making a plea for him to come to Arizona. The Cleveland Plain Dealer saying that the Cleveland Browns have become the front runner. The Titans have had contact with J.J. Watt, according to Pro Football Talk. They have contacted him. So it just seems like he's, there's rumors that Green Bay, because of his heart, is the front runner in all of this. Now we'll wait and see if the Packers are actually able to come up with enough money to be able to satisfy him. So there's just so much floating around out there. Houston Chronicle saying the Titans talking with ex-Texans defensive end J.J. Watt, trying to get him to consider the Tennessee Titans as the new landing spot. Fox is saying that the Green Bay Packers, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns, and Tennessee Titans are his likely landing spots. Another thing to consider is that J.J. Watt has been well compensated over the years, but hasn't made quarterback money or even Aaron Donald money. Absolutely still a factor for him at this stage of his career. So money will be partly an issue. I find this fascinating. I really do. I find this all fascinating where it's funny because Pro Football Talk a little while ago had the fact that he was talking with the Tennessee Titans. They had also said J.J. Watt seriously considering the Cleveland Browns. Browns, one of the first teams to show interest. Mary Kay Cabot of the Cleveland.com, Cleveland Plain Dealer, says he is, quote, seriously considering making his way to Cleveland. There's no word on a timeline for him to make a decision, though, at this point. The Steelers, Titans, Bills, Packers have also been named as teams with interest in Watt. Watt obviously having a large interest in the Green Bay Packers. It just depends on what. There is so much rumor out there right now as to what it is you actually want to believe. It's amazing. It's amazing. Then the Arizona Republic talking about DeAndre Hopkins, wanting J.J. Watt to consider coming there to team up with him. Boy, that's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on there. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know what rumor to believe. There's just it seems like there's more and more and more that it's saying Cleveland is the serious consideration. So I don't. I think it would be somewhat surprising. The Sports Roadhouse, another website in that area, is saying the same thing. So anyway, it continues to spin. Continues to spin as to where J.J. Watt is officially going to end up. Barstool Sports taking bets. Green Bay. They don't mention Tampa Bay, by the way. They say Green Bay, Kansas City, Buffalo, Tennessee, Indianapolis, and Pittsburgh. So I know there's a lot of people holding their breath, waiting to find out. But I don't think it happens today, but I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. I really do. If you had to put a bet on it, how many hours before J.J. Watt signs with his new team? How many hours? Chris says, I don't think the Browns are very close to winning at all. I would agree. So, again, and we talked about this earlier. When you look at the J.J. Watt situation, if he's in it to get himself the most legitimate shot at winning a Super Bowl before the end of his career comes, then you've got maybe a handful of teams. I don't think Cleveland is that team. I just don't. But if you're looking at it for a shot to get to the postseason and money, then Cleveland could be very viable. Just depends on what he's looking for. It's not like he's an old dude. What is he, 30, 31? He's not over the hill, for God's sakes. But he He's obviously physically been beaten up. He's had an injury history. But, if you got the over and under, if you're a betting man at this point, what are the hours before J.J. Watt signs with somebody? I'm saying there's a deal that's announced by Friday. So 70 to 80 hours, maybe 90 hours away, something like that. I'm going to write that down here, as a matter of fact. I'm going to do that. Say 80 hours, and we're getting an announcement from J.J. Watt. I'm going to go with the over and under on 80 hours. It just seems like things are moving really, really fast all of a sudden, all the rumors that are starting to come out. Joseph says, rumor has it that he's coming back to Wisconsin to talk specifically with the Green Bay Packers. Have you heard that? Well, I know that was just on our flagship station out of Madison on the Zone. That was just announced. Hey, I think Ebo's back in the studios. Ebo, now I think you just did that story, right? I did not see that yet, so that's probably why I haven't seen it. I was looking for an news outlet to report it. What does his Instagram say? Okay. Right. Right. Okay. Right. No, hey, I'll take it. Look, if it means that he could possibly be coming back, I'm all for it. No doubt. Yeah, Cleveland.com, a Cleveland Plain Dealer, and one of the reporters who I was just kind of reading has stated that that he has he is quote seriously considering considering the Cleveland Browns. I don't think Cleveland's that close. I think Cleveland's going to take a little bit of a regression before they leap forward myself. Right. I don't either. I mean, he would play against his brothers. That I understand, that he would see them twice a year and be able to play against them. But right. Exactly. And I don't and Cleveland, I mean, you talk about for a long time now, maybe they've straightened things out, but you talk about not wanting to play for a dysfunctional organization, and then all of a sudden you're going to look to Cleveland, who has been as dysfunctional with their ownership group there as anybody over the last decade, maybe longer. Now, like I said, they seem to have straightened some things out. They seem to have gotten better, but Cleveland. Right. 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 I am now looking at the all gas, no brakes workout facility. Where is that he's working out? I'm trying to look at all the signs in the background of all the different colors. I don't know if that's I don't know what facility that is. I don't know if that's someplace down south or if that's nearby. That's I don't know where that's at, where that workout facility is. Right. Correct. Yeah, he's somewhere around here. I was trying to see if that was like because that's not an indoor facility. They don't have an indoor field like that at Milwaukee. Because I would say, well, maybe if he was, in Pewaukee, maybe he'd be working out of Pewaukee High School. But I don't think they have that kind of an indoor facility. So that almost looks like it would be a college type of indoor facility. You know what I mean? So there you go. We've got that kind of coin for a research system. Viterbo College? Oh, you know what? Yeah, I was going to say that's probably a lot of the colleges in the area. So yeah, he is up here. He is in Wisconsin. Okay. We're getting to the. He used to work at NXT out here in Brookfield. I don't know if that would be the place that he would be though, and that's not far from where he grew up, which is out there in Pewaukee. Yeah. Because if it is NXT, it's literally 3 miles from my house. NXT is right there. I believe it's by the Waukesha County Airport, if I'm not mistaken. So he's probably really pissed off if he's listening to the program and I'm giving out his location. But all gas, no brakes is his comment on his Instagram post. So interesting, which has got the Twitter world on fire. But it seems like everybody else has him going to Cleveland. So we'll see what happens. Maybe put it this way. I don't think he's personally talking to anybody at this point. I would assume his people are talking. And then he's calling his people, and his people are telling him what's going on. So we'll keep you updated. Yep. You know what we need to do? Just Google NXT. NXT in Brookfield, Wisconsin. So we'll see if it's out here. And maybe they have some indoor pictures, and we can find out and kind of go from there. Look for some images of NXT fitness. Let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. Come back. We're all over it. More of the Bill Michael Show next. That's it, Evo. He's at NXT. Welcome back. Glad you are with us. Thanks so much. Certainly appreciate you hanging out. And yes, I had a buddy of mine actually working out down the street, and he says, yep, he's here. J.J. Watt's in the state of Wisconsin, in the area. I wonder if he's, I was going to say, for a good workout, he just may want to shovel some snow. Considering the way it's been coming down here, that's for sure. 877-867-1670, 867-867-1670. That's the phone number if you want to get a hold of us. Give us a shout. But yeah, a buddy of mine says, yep, he knows from good experience that he is indeed here. He is indeed here. So there you go, which is good. He's not in Cleveland, as I'm seeing Barstool. And many people, I think, are just grabbing the Cleveland Plain Dealer, the Cleveland.com report that it's the Cleveland Browns. So we'll see. I mean, it's good that you're hearing, he's here in his own backyard, but you can sign anywhere. I mean, because some people are taking that as that he's driving to Green Bay or something to that effect. Look, it's funny because this is very reminiscent of Tractor Watch. Remember that? When Favre was always determining whether or not he wanted to ride off on the tractor and retire and go away, or it was going to be Tractor Watch, and we were all going to be sitting on pins and needles until Brett Favre came out of the field and announced what he was going to do. Now we're kind of waiting for the big giant snowman to come back and say, "Yep, I'm coming back, and I'm going to be a Green Bay Packer," or say, "No, not going to happen." So. You're hoping that he ends up signing with the Packers, if indeed they can make it work, which would be a tremendous signing. And now we wait and see. Or could that Instagram post could have just simply meant that, hey, I'm in the land of cheese again, and he's enjoying himself. But J.J. Watt posting that a little bit earlier today, so we'll see. C.J. McCollum approving, if indeed. He ends up the Houston Texans star defensive tackle J.J. Watt, free agent after the two sides part away. We all know that. Cleveland Browns, per Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com, says that they are the front runners, the Cleveland Browns. C.J. McCollum figured I'd wait enough days for things to chill out. You're more than welcome to come to Cleveland to play for my Browns, according to his Twitter account. Defense would be sensational. Just a thought, J.J. Watt. Let me know if you need anything in Ohio. Plus, we get plenty of snow. Blessings. So we'll see. Cleveland could use some more help in the front seven. Myles Garrett coming off of an all-pro campaign, but Oliver Vernon sustained that Achilles injury in Week 17. Also bound for free agency. Watt could play opposite Garrett on the edge or move inside, giving the Browns more options up front if indeed he decided to go there. There's also a possibility that he could end up in Green Bay. Coming out of the 3-4, playing a 3-4 in Green Bay, more something that that Barry would be running. Pittsburgh is also the quote destination that is being considered. I'll say this: 84 hours, and it'll either be Pittsburgh, Green Bay, or Cleveland. At this point in time, I'm going to be somewhat surprised. I don't think he stays within his own division. I don't think he leaves the Texans to then go across the street to go to Tennessee or to Indianapolis. I think it either is going to be Green Bay, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, maybe like the Rams get into the mix or something to that effect. But I think we've somewhat narrowed it down as to the direction that he may go. But I think that's where we're sitting. So by the time you and I talk tomorrow, hell, we could have an answer. I mean, who knows? 24 hours could happen, and next thing you know, it's all happening. But I still think it's going to be. I a little bit of a wait. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I think it's probably next couple of days. Carolina Panthers, by the way, released a two-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle, Kawan Short. Panthers' best defensive player, playing in a combination of 5 games over the past 2 seasons. And his 2019-20 campaigns were cut short by season-ending shoulder surgeries. heading into the final year of his 5-year, $80 million contract. Now, solid player, but when you're starting to talk shoulder injuries for guys that use their shoulders, use that muscle, use that leverage, boy, he was set to count to $20.8 million against the cap this year. So Carolina said, nope, they're going to cut him loose. He is now on the market. That would have been a huge cap hit. He is going to take a large, substantial pay cut when it comes to signing with a team. He'll find a team, but there's another defender that has all pro capability that's on the open market. That's what I'm saying. The market is going to be flooded with a lot of veteran players that have either had injuries or big cap hits or both coming up, and they're going to be on the open market. So when you start assessing these teams, now again, I'm not a fan of the Ted Thompson way, but Ted was always like, let's let the crazies jump into the water, and then once they all get out of the pond, then we'll get in and start to see where things begin to settle down. I am not a fan of that at this point. I think you need to kind of jump into some of the better talent that's out there. I'm not saying you got to crazy overpay. If it gets into a bidding war and you're just going to find yourself strapped, you can't do it. But I'm excited to see if the Packers start jumping into the pond a little bit earlier than normal. So we'll wait and see. Jesse says, I believe J.J. Watt is going to sign with the Packers. I don't know why. Something just tells me he will. This one's from Mel. Mel says, knowing that J.J. Watt is in the state of Wisconsin makes me feel a little more comfortable. I want to see him talk to Brian Gutekunst sooner rather than later. Maybe he was working out and then having lunch with Goody. We'll see. Did he go out to the Waukesha County Airport and fly north to Green Bay? I don't know. I could have looked out of my window because the runway goes out above my home. But beyond that, I don't know. Couldn't honestly tell you. This one's from Jack. Jack says, I don't think he ends up signing here. The Packers have a lot of needs, not just one. They need to spread that money over numerous players. I don't know if JJ is going to take a lot less money just to come to Green Bay. You said it earlier. Too many people in the Players Association would be mad at him if he signed with the hometown team with a ginormous hometown discount. Like I said, that's another thing to think about in the grand scheme of things. David says, bring me some J.J. Watt, buying a jersey immediately when he signs. Hal says, no J.J. Watt in Green Bay. Packers need offensive line depth. They need another wideout. They need secondary help when King is gone. This team has just too many needs. Tony says, I think that the Packers could use J.J. Watt. He would add additional line help. We all talk about winning games in the trenches, so you've got to get J.J. for the right price. And then another one, this is from Chris. Chris says, on a day in which my roof has caved in because of the snow, I'm looking for some positive in my life. Please tell me that J.J. Watt is going to sign here. The whole thing, and this was from Sally, who says, did you see that he called playing at Lambeau Field a dream come true? Did he sign? No, that was from an article that was written by Tom Silverstein. It came out yesterday. It's on PackersNews.com. It's in the Journal Sentinel. And that goes back to something that, Tom had talked to him about a year ago, as a matter of fact, when the Texans practiced here and they ended up playing here. And he talked about playing at Lambeau Field. He talked about, it being a dream ever since he was a little kid. But that was from 2019. That wasn't from this past season, or it wasn't even from something that was written today. It was from something that was written yesterday, but it was about something going back to 2019. So, Chris says he's got a cabin in Oconomowoc, many reasons, plus his wife's going to be in Chicago. I see him signing with the Green Bay Packers. So a lot of angst and a lot of hope and a lot of fun and a lot of speculation regarding J.J. Watt and where he will indeed end up. You hope it's with the Green Bay Packers. We'll have to wait and see. One more, Ashley says, JJ's coming, book it. I just have a feeling as well. Well, we had somebody else, Mel, earlier said that too. I have a feeling as well that he is going to end up with the Green Bay Packers. And this is going to be the storybook year that the Packers have been waiting for as Packers fans. Can you just imagine going out to L.A., christening that new stadium, and winning the Lombardi Trophy back and having J.J. Watt and Aaron Rodgers hoisted high. That is my dream come true. That is from Ashley. Ashley, maybe, I don't know, if you put it this way, if that happens and you're feeling really lucky, go buy a lottery ticket as well. Maybe, just maybe, you're just got mojo rubbing off all over you, you know? So there you go. This one's from Arthur, who says, what does J.J. Watt bring to the table being banged up? I'm not knocking the guy. I'm simply asking a legitimate question. Well, if he's 100% healthy, he still brings the heart and tenacity of a lion and a true football player. He brings you leadership as well. I mean, you saw what a guy of the ilk of Tom Brady can bring to an overall team. Now, as a defensive leader, you got Zadarius Smith, and then you would have his opposite in J.J. Watt. What could he do to elevate the likes of a guy like Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary and Kamal Martin and Chris Barnes, and you continue to kind of build upon that. What does he bring? And let's be honest, I mean, the more beef you have up front, the more quality play you have up front in the trenches, the better your linebackers become, because you can have guys suck up double teams and keep linemen and running backs and such off of the linebackers, allowing them to execute a little bit better. So it's a trickle down effect. If your offense or if your defensive trenches are really good, you're getting pressure on a quarterback, you're cutting off cutback lanes, and running backs, quarterbacks only have one direction in which to flow, it makes things that much better for linebackers and defensive backs. You don't have to cover as long. You know where the play is going, unless you come up against a really quality athletic quarterback. And then obviously you have to stay home a little bit more, but you can kind of hedge a little bit playing defense like that. So when you get good in the trenches, I mean, it really does. That's a great way to put it, like ripples on a pond. It has an effect on everybody. It really does. And if you couple that with a really good secondary that can cover for that extra second, that gives your defensive ends and guys up the gut, up the middle, that gives your linebackers all that much more capability of getting to a passer and shutting down those lanes. So anyway, let's do this. We'll step away, take a quick break. More of the Bill Michaels Show next. Welcome back. Glad to have you. Laura writing in the in the email inbox, and Laura says, while I want to see J.J. Watt come to Green Bay, I don't think that that's the sole need for the Packers to put them over the top. What do you think their needs are if you had to prioritize? I would say offensive line, then defensive line. Yes, Watt would fit the bill, but I don't think that all the money can be put to one particular player. They're still going to need somebody to replace Kevin King. They still need additional outside pass rush and linebacker help. And then you're going to need a running back to replace Aaron Jones. Just way too many needs for the amount of money I think it's going to take to sign JJ. Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, I appreciate the email. Thanks so much. By the way, if you want to chime in, you can, 877-867-1670. You are 100% correct. They have a lot of needs. They have needs almost at every level. The one area they do not need somebody is at quarterback. Other than that, you need a running back. DeGuara, I know some people say, well, what about Tonyan and Mercedes Lewis? They're still restricted or unrestricted free agents. So Tonyan, yeah, you can probably bring back and then have an additional tight end, whether it's Sternberger or somebody else that's going to help you out. But usually you want 3 tight ends on your roster. 2 at the very least that are serviceable, and Sternberger has not proven to be that guy. So I can't put my chips into that basket. You're probably going to need a tight end, and if you're going to bring back Mercedes Lewis for a veterans minimum, no, so be it. But you're going to have to fill your tight end position. Aaron Jones I really like Aaron Jones, but I just don't think he's going to be able to come. If he does come back, I will be ecstatic. You would take a young, productive Aaron Jones, I think, over maybe a defensive player at this point. But looking at that NFC Championship game, you're going to need defensive help. Because Aaron Rodgers didn't get the ball back. Now, it was a bad move by Matt LaFleur to not go for it on that 4th and 8, 4th and goal from the 8, but it is what it is. So anyway, you're right. You're going to need you probably will take another wide receiver. You're going to need defensive line help. You're going to need a pass rusher. And you're going to need another corner if you don't bring back Kevin King. And you're probably going to need another corner anyway. Now, some of those positions you're going to fortify in the draft. Whether or not you're going to be good because of that fortification, we'll have to wait and see. James says, I think the longer it takes, the Packers have a better shot at signing him. He's giving them time to clear enough cap room to sign him. They will probably backload the contract. That I would agree. Because that's the only way you're going to do it. You're going to say, hey, look, we'll pay you, but we just can't pay you a ton this season. Take a certain amount of minimum, and then we'll give you the 2-year deal, backload it to where we can give you more money in the second year and kind of go from there. But again, you can't just do it by doing it. You're going to have to restructure. You're going to restructure Aaron Rodgers' deal, David Bakhtiari's deal, and Bakhtiari just signed an extension, but you still can restructure that from what I understand. I've looked that up and talked to a few people, and yes, even though a player has just re-signed for a contract extension, yes, you can restructure that deal. So if you would go with restructuring Zadarius Smith's deal, as he's still a young enough player to be able to do that as well, you could do that. You could save yourself quite a chunk of change. But think about this. Thinking about if you're an offensive player and you're ready to get down into your stance as a lineman, you got J.J. Watt, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, Zadarius Smith, all staring at you from opposite sides of the spectrum. And then just say, for blanks and giggles, you throw another good, stout defensive lineman into the mix. So you draft a good one, much like a B.J. Raji was his rookie season. You're talking about quite a bit of power coming across the line. Justin says, can you get J.J. Watt and re-sign Aaron Jones? No. They're not. I don't think they're going to be together in this deal. I just don't think you have enough money. There's no way that Aaron Jones is taking $7-8 million a year just to come back to the Green Bay Packers. I just don't think that happens. Not unless they really, really, really take the salary down and give him all of that money up front. and figure out a way to kind of structure it so it's not going to be a huge salary cap hit. You're just strapped. That's the bottom line. You're just strapped. Go Bill says, I don't think it's going to take too long. Actually, I thought it would be more like Monday, but it seems like it's going to be less. Like I said, I would, the way things are progressing, I would say so. Now, here's something. This is a great question. This is from James. James has said, you see guys like DeAndre Hopkins speak out and say, JJ, can you come here? Why don't you see anything from Aaron Rodgers or anybody on the Green Bay Packers saying, will you come to Green Bay or come home? That's from James. That's a great question. It's fair. That's fair. Bakhtiari did already restructure his deal, by the way. He did restructure, so he saved the team some money there. But that's what I said. You have to restructure Bakhtiari. You have to restructure Aaron Rodgers. You have to restructure probably Zadarius Smith. You got to probably sign Devontae Adams to a contract extension to save you some money up front. You're going to have to make some cuts. Probably Preston Smith, Funchess, Lowry. Some of these larger salaries you're probably going to cut loose. By the time it's all said and done. So, and we went through this the other day for the cap calculator for the Green Bay Packers to be able to save them that amount of money. The Packers are going to have some issues, so to speak, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. They can do this. They can redo this. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Who knows? This one's from Jason. Jason says, I see him going to either Pittsburgh or Green Bay. Which team is likely closer to a Super Bowl? Has to be the Green Bay Packers. As you have mentioned, Ben Roethlisberger did not look good. You got that right. You got that right. Whole bunch of it right. This is from Mark. Mark listening to us in Newsburg. Mark all the time, always chiming into the program. Says, well, I think JJ is going to be a good fit defensively speaking. I just don't think he is able to be able to do it for the amount of money that he's going to want. And we don't know. We don't know what the amount of money is. We don't know what the amount of money is. So if you, and we went through this the other day, if you restructure Aaron Rodgers, if you restructure Zadarius Smith, if you extend Devontae Adams, if you cut June 1st cut for Preston Smith, you're already, with those three things, you're already sitting at $13.5 million over the cap or under the cap. Let's see here. We talked about cutting Christian Kirksey. Probably Dean Lowry, who did not live up to the expectation. If you do all of that with the restructure of David Bakhtiari, you're sitting at about $21 million of cap space. You're not bad off with all of that. Now you got to figure out Corey Linsley. Do you bring Mercedes Lewis back? You could bring back Lane Taylor. Now there's still Jared Valdir if you decide to bring him back, because you may need a tackle, because depending on how long, and that's kind of how long you're not going to be able to bring back. You probably bring back Tyler Lancaster. You're not going to be able to bring back Aaron Jones. You just start going through this list. You may then be able to bring back Jamal Williams, Alan Lazard. Maybe a guy like Raven Green makes sense. So you're able to bring some of those guys back. But yeah, see, you've still got a lot of these guys under good contracts. I mean, you're probably going to cut Devin Funchess. You cut Funchess, add that in, you're talking almost $22 million of cap space. You could do this. I mean, there's a way to do it. You could figure this out if indeed that's the direction you want to go. You signed Devontae Adams to an extension. Aaron Rodgers, Zadarius Smith. You've already restructured David Bakhtiari. You cut Preston Smith, cut Kirksey, cut Lowry, cut Funchess. You're going to draft probably a wide receiver. You're going to draft another offensive lineman. You've got, you got ability there. Then you're sitting at $22 million of cap space. It can be done. There's your optimism. It can be done. Stay tuned. Final segment of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next. So to those of you watching on the streams, we got one segment left. I appreciate you hanging out with us tomorrow. Sound is going to be a lot better. I promise you that. So we are going to say goodbye for the time being, but thanks for watching. Please follow us over on Facebook. Please follow on Instagram. You can follow on Twitter. You can follow on the YouTube channel and over on Twitch. But for this being the inaugural run today, great having you with me, and thanks to everybody for being a part of the program and for chiming in and sending all the thoughts. And I do get them all. It's just there's so many. It's tough to get every one and say hello to everybody, but thanks to everybody for paying attention to it. I really do mean it. Thanks again.